You know, I post a lot on Instagram, so there was a lot of stuff that had
just thirst trap.
Well, no, yeah. There was no depression. I'm back. Thirst trap.
Pretending I'm great.
Got a puppy. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Life Uncut. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Keeshia. Ciao bella. How was your time in Italy?
Took me a hot second to wonder why you were speaking Italian to me, because yes, I have been in Italy for 2 weeks, but technically this is recorded just before Italy. So when you said ciao right now, I was like, what? I was like, are you bringing me Italian?
Ready for the Italian holiday?
No, Laura, as you guys know, you're part of the family. Laura should have, assuming, had a baby by now. Baby 3 should be here, which is very exciting. I'd be more excited if I knew it had happened, but we don't know what is happening. We don't know when, we don't know how, we don't know how fast that little slippery sucker is going to shoot out, but we had to prepare ahead of time in case she went early. So This has been just pre-recorded, but I'm pretty sure you guys are going to be getting a birth episode in your hot little hands in 2 days' time.
Yes, so that episode will be, I mean, if all things go to plan, which, you know, we're assuming that they will, and we're very much hoping that they will.
No us, probably not.
Tomorrow, Laura will be in the studio to record an episode all about the birth of their third child and sharing all of the details. So if you have any questions, today's kind of going to be your last day to get them in because we're recording it tomorrow morning. So send those through to Life Uncut Podcast on Instagram.
You know what is interesting, because like this is happening in the future right now, but by the time this episode comes out, it's in the past. I don't know if I would have.
That's how pre-recording works, yes.
I don't know if I would have delivered Laura's baby yet.
Oh, you reckon you're going to be there for it?
Now, hear me out. If the baby comes, and we have to say it now, she, because Laura doesn't know what name she wants again.
You never know. They could have gotten it wrong on the scans. I would really love to hear from people who were told the gender of their baby only to then deliver the baby and they were wrong on the scans.
It does happen. But
how often do you reckon it happens?
I don't know.
Do you reckon it's common? I'll do a Google.
Yeah, I wouldn't say common. Let's look that up. But I wouldn't say it's common, but it definitely happens. I think it happens a lot with twins as well, maybe. Like they just get them mixed up.
Okay, I've just Googled, and this is based off of AI.
I never know to trust AI.
I know, I never know. You know how Google now has it? It says that in Australia, a baby's gender is rarely wrong if you get the NIPT test or NIP test.
Mm-hmm.
Around 20 weeks, you will have rates exceeding 95% accuracy. That's still 5% wrong.
Yeah, it still happens. But I don't think it's happening with Laura. But Laura did say that if the baby comes before I get on my flight to Italy, that I'm allowed to okay, she didn't say deliver it. I added that in. But I'm allowed to. I was like, yes, Laura, I will deliver your baby. She's like, absolutely not.
You have been asking her if you can do the stretch and sweep more frequently than what I think would be normal.
I've been practicing. So every day we sit down before we record, I look her in the eye and I do this. And I don't think that's how you do it.
That will be funnier for people watching on YouTube. For audio listeners, Britt did some weird flicking thing with her fingers and her hands.
Stretch and sweep, put things in. But she did say I was allowed to go into the delivery suite with her if I'm still here. And you know what she said? I let her sign my wedding certificate and she said that I could cut the umbilical cord.
Oh, that's a good trade-off.
Do you feel a little bit like FOMO?
Not really, if I'm honest. I just feel like back in my science days, I remember being in the lab a lot and having to do a lot of dissections, and I don't miss it. It's something that I kind of feel like I never felt queasy about it, but it's definitely not something that I'm like, wow, I really miss those days.
I've watched cesareans and stuff, like when I used to be in the hospital. I've watched births. That stuff's fine, but I've never felt or had to cut an umbilical cord. Like I've never had a reason to have to do it. But Laura said it's like a squid. Like you're going for a seafood dinner, there's calamari and you try and chop it up. That's what it's like.
It's slipperier than what I would have assumed. You know, but before I did my first dissection of one, I was quite surprised by the texture. Anyway, people who have got like aversions to this stuff are just going to be like, this is so gross.
But I'm not allowed to birth the baby, but I can help her birth the placenta. So she said I can get the leftovers.
I think we should leave that to the professional.
Okay.
Would you take a placenta home and do anything with it?
Do you know what? That's an interesting chat. I reckon I would. I have some friends that had because you can have, it's a whole business out. You can get the placenta made into capsules. So like somebody comes and picks it up. You've paid them X amount. They go home, they put it into capsules. It's supposed to be the quickest way for you to heal your body. So that they package it up and they send it back to you. And then it's like taking a supplement, but it's your own placenta.
Yeah, I just don't know where the line of cannibalism comes in. Like,
well, but if you actually think about it, it's pretty fascinating. Like the placenta is the most powerful thing in the world in terms of growth and keeping you alive. Like, it literally is the only thing that's growing a human inside your body. Imagine what that could do for you. I don't know what the science is behind it. I haven't looked that deep into it, but I reckon I'd be the kind of person that would do it.
I feel like I'll just, stick to the regular what I can get from Coles and Woolworths, but you do you. No judgment from me whatsoever. And speaking of judgment, I actually have a question to ask you before we get into our vibes and unsubscribes.
Hit me.
And it's about a lot of the vibes that you tend to bring to the show.
Oh, no,
you are our certified true crime girlie.
I feel like if it's going to be an attack.
It's not an attack. But if ever I see something that comes across like Instagram or even on Netflix or something like that that's even loosely related to true crime, you're the only person I send it to. Because I'm like, I feel like you might like this.
Yeah, but I feel like you're sort of, you dabble in true crime.
Not so much true crime. I don't mind like crime shows, but when it comes to true crime, I think that it piques a specific part of my anxiety that's just like not good for me, especially before bedtime.
Yeah, we had a chat in the podcast a while ago about like Jeffrey Dahmer and the romanticizing or like Hollywoodizing of true crime.
Yeah. So there's a psychologist named Dr. Tamer Bryant, and she has come out saying basically this is an attack on people who love true crime. And she's saying that if you consume a lot of violent media, it might be for a very specific reason. And it's essentially because that trauma feels familiar to you. So she's gone as far as saying if your idea of relaxing before you go to bed is to watch 3 episodes of Law and Order, I would encourage you to think about, why is trauma relaxing to me?
That is a big blanket statement, because I go to bed most nights either having listened to true crime or having consumed it. Like, it would be my number one piece of content that I consume. But I don't have any trauma. Like, well, as far as I know, unless it's very suppressed.
Trauma with a little t, definitely not capital T.
No, I'm like, I've said this a few times on the podcast, but I have had like a very stable upbringing. When I've had traumatic things as an adult. I feel like everyone does. But when you look at, reasonings like whatever Tamer Bryant just said, no, my childhood was wholesome, full of love. I was safe and secure. There was no violence. Like, I have nothing to explain the sickness in my brain now and my addiction to true crime. I don't know. You're looking at me like you're judging me, but
no, I'm definitely not judging you. I'm also kind of trying to unpack whether there's a difference between. Firstly, I think there's a difference between watching something violent like a TV show. She gave the example of Law and Order. That's a scripted TV show. It's not real. For me, I have no problem watching that. It's for when it actually is real that I get a lot more anxiety about it, because I think that I put myself in that situation and I wonder whether maybe that could happen to me, or like, how can I try and avoid this type of thing happening in my own life? But I think that there's a type of psychology that if you're a normal person who would never do acts of evil like that, it can be interesting to kind of go down the path and almost the voyeurism maybe of trying to understand what makes people so different psychologically from what we are. Do you know what I mean by that?
But that's where I think my fascination comes from. And it's also, I guess it's maybe, I don't know, a level of escapism, but I don't even know what, maybe that's the wrong word, because escapism should be like a travel show to the Maldives. Like, escapism shouldn't be like watching Jeffrey Dahmer or something like that. But I've looked into this before and we've spoken about it. She's not the only psychologist. There are so many psychologists that have spoken about the fact that it's a red flag if you like to consume that kind of thing. The number one podcast in Australia is True Crime. And when a new series is dropped and it goes to number one, it's like a one-off true crime series, like an ABC investigation or – so I just think it's a pretty blanket statement when that many people are loving to consume it.
Yeah, I mean, that statement kind of says a lot about the population, but I do think that there is actually an element that, we could unpack and we could kind of speak about and just try to have a little bit of awareness around, because there is just, we've spoken about this before. We've done an episode together on monsters and we both kind of had very different perspectives on our consumption of true crime, because something about it does feel inherently icky and a little bit exploitative to me, because at the end of the day, there is always going to be pain at the bottom of it. That's someone's family and that's someone's loved one. And I don't want to kind of blanket statement this and taint everything with the same brush, but there are versions of it that I think are more respectful to families, and there are versions that I think are pretty gross.
Well, interesting, because I didn't know you were going to bring this up, but I was also just about to tell you that the next monster is coming out, which is bad timing for me to say that I'm excited to see it. But the next monster is coming out, and it's based on the serial killer that things like Silence of the Lambs and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, say that 3 times fast, they were based on like a real life serial killer, and that's what the next monster is going to be based on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But growing up, I used to want to be a criminologist, to the point that like I looked into doing the degree when you do those uni days.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be in forensics or criminology, and the only reason I didn't was because, and I still remember this, I remember when you go around and there's the desks and you get to speak to people from each discipline, and I remember this girl just saying, probably wasn't allowed to say it, she's like, don't do this course. There are no jobs in it.
Yeah.
She's like, it's a brilliant course. You will not get work. She's like, there's like 10 jobs that are interesting across the country. She's like, don't get sucked into thinking it's like the Criminal Minds and the, so I could have been a criminologist.
Yeah, I remember like a similar-ish experience. I was doing a particular course called molecular genetics at uni, and one of the lecturers, the guest lecturers, was a person who headed up the disaster victim identification of like mass things like tsunamis and that kind of thing. And hearing about her experiences, I just remember having this thing click where I was like, oh, it would actually be really hard to do this job.
Yeah.
You would become so desensitized. And some of the things that she spoke about, she would present in court for certain like horrible crimes, like things like sexual assaults and that kind of thing, and explain the genetic evidence to people in the court.
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, that would be a really hard thing emotionally, to do for a certain period of time. And that was the kind of thing that made me be like, that track definitely isn't for me. I don't think I'd be able to kind of take that load home.
Yeah, I do wonder what it means, because I can consume something and then just go to bed and I'm fine. I can have something happen.
Like switch it off.
And I go home and it's off, or I go to bed and it's off. Like, it's like my brain can put it in. Maybe I'm a psychopath. Maybe I'm a sociopath. I don't know. But my vibe is not true crime, but it's crime.
Okay.
So Dexter. Everybody knows Dexter, right? I was late to the party. I started watching Dexter maybe 2 years ago, but I'm pretty sure it's been out for like 10 years. I love it. But there is a new season that is literally out now, week to week on Paramount. It's essentially season 7, but it's not. It's called Dexter Resurrection, and it's season 1. So whilst it's like you need to watch the whole Dexter series, this would feel like it's the 7th season, but they've called it Resurrection 1. And I don't want to tell you too much about it, because if you haven't seen it all, it's going to give it away. But if you haven't seen Dexter at all, go and watch the entire series from scratch. You'll love it. If you were early to the party, unlike me, go and watch it's on Paramount in Australia, but it is dropping week to week. I think there's like 4 or 5 out at the moment, but I am absolutely obsessed with it. But you can't go and watch it standalone. You need to see the history.
I have really bad news for you.
What?
They have cancelled.
Oh, I know. I already know.
Yeah, they've axed it.
No,
so they said here, I just Googled it because I was like, I saw something about this in the news a couple of weeks ago. So it says, after just 1 season, Dexter Original Sin has officially been axed by Paramount Plus.
And I don't know why, because it was renewed. Season 2 was renewed and then they axed it.
Weird.
So something's gone down.
Yeah, either they didn't get the numbers they expected or...
No, I would never believe that. It's brilliant.
Okay, well, my vibe this week is something that either you could buy for yourself or you could potentially buy it as a gift. And when I originally got this, it's a reusable takeaway coffee cup. It was actually it'd have to be 3 or 4 years ago for my birthday. I can't remember how long ago, but Laura got me one of these cups as a birthday present, and I ended up getting a couple of extra ones. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm holding it up now. The brand is called KW Ceramics, so it's Kim Wallace Ceramics, and they're all made from Australian clay, and they're made by hand in Australia.
They're beautiful cups.
They're absolutely gorgeous, right? And I recently bought these for 2 of our friends, Britt, that got married.
Oh,
because they make some special ones that say Mr. and Mrs. and they're kind of like cute couple things that they go and get coffee together in the morning. So I just thought that would be a nice like personalized little celebration of them getting married. But when I was on the website shopping for them, I decided to also get myself one. So now I've got a couple. You can get these silicone lids to put on the top.
That was going to be my question.
Yeah. So you just kind of place them on the top. It's not spill proof, but it just helps you spill less. So what I mean is like you can't twist the lid on and put it in your bag and it will be fine. It's not like a thermos, right? Like the lid it will leak everywhere. You've got to hold it up until you're finished drinking.
Okay. Well, I don't know what you guys are doing with your coffee cup, swirling them
Do you know
around.
what I mean? Like, it's not one of the ones that you can, it's not like a drink bottle where you can put the lid on and then put it in your bag.
I feel like I need the spill-proof ones because and that's probably why you come to work with coffee on your shirt all the time.
And nearly every day.
Yes.
But while I was on the website, I also got this other little duverdaki that they've started making, and it's for after you've finished it. So it's this little bag, and it's got like a leak-proof beeswax on the inside. So you put your keep cup in there, or reusable takeaway cup, they say, and then you can squeeze this tight, and then you put that in your bag, and it stops the drips from getting all throughout. Because, you know, my bag has to remain completely waterproof. I have so much tech gear in there, you know, my laptop and all that kind of jazz. I really love the brand. I think they're really beautiful, and I think they make really good gifts. And I actually got this one here. They've got a version on the website of like a second sale. So they're ones that have minor defects, and they're pretty heavily discounted. I can't tell where the defect is though.
Maybe that's why it spills.
Maybe. No, it's definitely me who makes it spill. But yeah, I think they're really beautiful, and I think they make a nice gift. So KW Ceramics, as always, links for our vibes will be in the show notes and also on our website.
Cute. All right, let's get into the questions. Question number 1. My friend has access to her ex-husband's email, and I think it is unethical. I've just found out my good friend has access to her ex-husband's emails. She recently told me she saw something on his emails. It was a fleeting comment, and I didn't think much of it until I realized how unethical and inappropriate it is. They got divorced about 2 to 3 years ago, and it was quite toxic. Their relationship is still very toxic. I'm really close with both of them. I don't want to ruin our friendship by telling him, but I think it's extremely inappropriate and potentially illegal that she has access to his emails. I have no idea how to approach the situation, if I even approach the situation. Do you think it's illegal?
Do I think it's illegal? I don't know if it's illegal. I know it's illegal to open people's mail. Does that extend to email? Surely.
I think she more means like, is it as bad as she thinks? Is it that unethical and immoral? Which I guess.
Look, I guess it depends on the lengths that she went to gain access to the email. I mean, it's likely that it's probably just still logged into her computer since they were married. You know, maybe he used the email. I do think it's pretty unethical, but I also think what's the most weird about this is that she's checking it. Like, how regularly is she checking?
Yes. Okay, I've got some feelings. So I don't think it is illegal. It's illegal if you've hacked it, but I'm going to assume they were together and they had shared accounts and they've broken up, and he's probably just forgotten. Like, he's probably just forgotten that she has access. She's not going to raise that with him. And so she just checks it.
You just really took me down a nostalgic path. Do you remember when there used to be one email account for the whole family? It would be like
Hockley's 21.
It would be like the whole family's email account. You would have the desktop computer with the dial-up internet, and that was the one email that you needed for everything.
I just reckon she still has access. Like, I don't think she's gone to the point of hacking it. You know what I think the most toxic thing is here? It's what it's probably doing to her and the hold it has over her without her even knowing. I remember I had access to pretty similar. I had access to my ex's Instagram. Like an ex. I'm not going to tell you who. I had access to their Instagram, which they knew about. We shared accounts. Like, it just wasn't a thing. Like, it wasn't a big deal. We just, for some reason, had each other's logins. And when we broke up, I still had access for ages. And I didn't do anything with it at the start because I forgot. And then one day I looked at it and then I was like, this is a slippery slope, because I wanted to look at it every day for no reason. But I was like, wonder what's going on. And then I was like, this is so, A, it's inappropriate, but B, it became something that I was thinking about for no reason. Like, I'd be like, should I, shouldn't I? Like, and then I was like, what's the point? Like, and I just got rid of it and deleted it and moved on. But also, I think you need to have a sit down with your friend. 2 to 3 years is wild. Like, you are 3 years deep and you're still checking your ex's email. It is inappropriate. Like, we can joke about it. It's inappropriate. You shouldn't be in there and you shouldn't be doing it. But I'd be asking myself why. Like, what are you doing with that information?
I also feel like an email, like, how spicy can an email really get? You know what I mean?
Well,
what information can you gain from an email? This person, you know, here's your access code for this one-time purchase. Here's your subscription confirmation email.
It's funny you say that, because my crazy ex that had the double life, everything was on email. So he would use email as a text. So I would get multiple emails from him a day, and he just told me it was the easiest way to communicate, which like fucking a volcano. I got sucked into that one. I'm like, oh, that's totally yes. Your burner phone is your burner phone's the best way for you to like whatever. I look back now and it's okay. I get it. The red flag was whipping me in the face, but everything was on email, which makes sense because it keeps everything off your phone. And you know, when that unraveled and I found out how many other people he was talking to and with, they were all on different emails, and so. We don't know what this person's story is. You've said it's toxic. Keeshia, you're like, how many of my exes cheated by email?
I've actually just had this memory hit me in the face. I cannot believe I forgot about this. And I can't believe that it's only been during this conversation that I remembered. I had an ex. We met in Australia. He was here for a couple of months. We got together. He went back to the UK. He was British. And I went over there and I spent a couple of months with him. And while I was over there, because I wasn't working, I said that I would help him out with his business. And I can speak about this now because he's blocked me. So there is no way that he can come for me for saying this.
He's blocked me. I wonder why.
And so I was like, I'll help you out with the admin, you know, I'll help you out with your invoicing and some of your emailing and blah, blah, blah. Because, you know, I had the time and I thought that was being helpful. And I remember getting back to Australia and I was only back for like 2 weeks. And so I still had his email logged into my computer. And I remember not doing it wasn't deliberate. It was like I opened up Gmail and because his account was logged in, I saw that he had this Uber transaction that dropped him back to his own house at 6:45 in the morning. And I was like, what the fuck? And I messaged him and I was like, hey, like, you know, because everything was still normal in my mind. And he'd said that he'd gone out for a couple of drinks with, you know, friends the night before, had not said anything about the fact he did not stay at home. And that was how I found out that he'd actually stayed at another girl's house and he'd gotten an Uber back in the morning. It was through the email.
Told you, email. It's a golden egg.
I can't believe that I'm like, what spicy stuff could you find out? Oh, yeah, that's right. One of my relationships ended because of it.
Yeah, emails is where the shit goes down.
Yeah.
100%. Because it's like, I mean, it probably isn't now. Everything's linked to everything. But it used to be a bit of a separate entity. Like it never used to, I don't know. I don't really get it. Everything uploads to the cloud now. So I just feel like that. I feel like nowhere is a safe space. But back to this question.
Oh, yeah, what should she do about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you
Sorry, so many side tangents. My apologies.
I know, but I think you can definitely say something to her. I don't think it's going to be friendship ending. I mean, you obviously feel uncomfortable by it, but I think you can definitely say why. Like, why are you still in? Well, like, you know, do you think you should be in his emails? It feels pretty wrong. Imagine if he was in your emails 3 years deep. But I just wonder, like, do they have kids? When you're saying it's toxic, is she trying to use stuff against him? Is it, I don't know, toxic could mean 100 things of varying levels. So I would definitely say something to her. I wouldn't end the friendship. You've said you don't want to ruin the friendship. I don't think you tell him. That's pretty wild, isn't it?
What happens if she tells the friend that she thinks it's really unethical and the friend says, too bad, so sad, not going to change it? What do you do with that information? Do you go and tell him then? Like, you are in a pretty awkward position because you're friends with both of them. But I think very much take Britt's advice of the fact that you need to bring it up with her and just say, hey, you made a comment the other day and I didn't really think about it until I was at home later. And I think it's really bad. I think you are only going to be eating away at your own kind of sense of security and sanity if you're still checking his emails 2 to 3 years post-divorce.
And it is hard because it's not just that you're really good friends with her and he's the ex. You said you're really close with both of them. So there is... Yeah, I would be mortified if I found out now that my ex was in my emails 3 years later. Like, I would be ropeable. I'd be mortified. I'd be like, what have you seen? Why are you in there? What are you doing with that information? Like, it definitely is an invasion of privacy. She needs to move on. 100%.
If I have any exes in my emails, can you please check through all of the admin that's not actually applicable to me and get rid of that? It would really be saving me some time.
None of your exes are going through your admin. The tricky part is because you're best friends with both of them or good friends with both of them. So I would be having the conversation with her saying, hey, I don't think it's appropriate. I think you need to stop. Maybe try and take the angle that you're doing it for her as much as him. Like, don't let this consume you. You should not be checking his email every day. It shouldn't even be on your mind. 3 years on, this shouldn't be something that you wake up and think about. But as long as you have access to it, she's always going to have it hanging over her head. So other than that, like if you go and speak to the husband, that's a choice. It's the same as when we have these conversations about, you know, do I tell my friend her partner's cheating on them or whatever? You've just got to be ready for the repercussions because there's always going to be something that comes off the back of that. He's going to say something to her. He's not just going to change his password and then be done with it. Like he's going to confront her and it's going to come out that it was you, and this could be like explosive for your friendship. So I'd be choosing which battle is worth it.
Or maybe you could come up with some fake scenario that like all of your things have gotten hacked and it's because you hadn't updated your email password, and just tell him that story and tell him that he needs to update his email password.
You could just say, have you heard of the scams going around?
Yeah.
Everyone has to update their password.
You need 2-factor authentication. Protect him at all costs.
Yeah, true.
All right, and into question 2. My mum won't get a whooping cough vaccine for my new baby. Hi, ladies, OG listener here. I'm stuck in a pickle. I'm 17 weeks pregnant. Here's where I'm stuck. During COVID, my mum became a real anti-vaxxer. She was never like this previously. My siblings and I got all of our childhood vaccinations. I work in healthcare and I always get flu shots. I got my COVID boosters, etc. I'm really nervous about asking her to get vaccinated for whooping cough before the baby comes. Originally, she only cared about the COVID vax, but she has since gone down a little bit of a conspiracy rabbit hole in regards to healthcare in general, and I've heard her make comments about other vaccines. My decision is that no one will be holding or touching my baby without one, and I know my partner and his family would back me up on this. How would you approach this conversation? She is known to be rather reactive, so I don't want to make a big drama out of it. I'd rather approach it gently.
This, for me, I think there are some things in life that are hard conversations that are non-negotiables. This is one of them. And I am all about protecting people's feelings and having empathy and understanding for a multitude of things. Vaccinations, especially for something like whooping cough around a newborn, is not one of the boundaries that I would personally bend. And I say that because whether you're pro-vax or anti-vax, the science behind the damage that whooping cough can do to a newborn baby is horrific. So for me, I would be just having a really gentle conversation like, hey, Mum, I know that you feel you're unsure about your vaccinations and things like that. We won't be letting anyone around our newborn that hasn't had it. Like, that's your boundary for your child, and you are putting that boundary in place to protect the child. And maybe I'm coming across too harsh, but I will die on that hill. Like, this is just something for me. Even with baby Maya, my sister's baby, because she was born preemie and she couldn't get the RSV vaccination through my sister because my sister couldn't get it in time.
Well, she was booked in to get it, wasn't she? And she went into labour so early.
She went into labour the day she was supposed to get the RSV vaccine and went into labour as in like it shot out. Maya shot out in 45 minutes. So it was pretty crazy. So she just couldn't get it. And Maya nearly died because of that. She went into ICU a couple of months later with RSV and literally nearly died. And it wouldn't have been as serious if the vaccinations were in place. And, you know, we've seen kids be so unwell because of whooping cough. I just think it's such an easy fix, and I don't think it's a boundary that you need to bend on.
Yeah, like I feel very similar to you, Britt. But the thing that I want to kind of be careful about this is that bodily autonomy is always paramount. You know, someone always has a choice as to what they want to do to their own body, and that is important. And just because we are both pro-vax, I also want to have a bit of understanding for the fact that people will have different sets of rules for what they want and what they think is going to protect their baby in the best way. And if you see that differently, I respect your opinion, and you can do that with your own child, you know. Yeah. But in this particular situation, you, the person who has written this in, you have an idea around what is the best way for you to protect your baby, and that is your number one priority. Yeah. Your mum's feelings, her being offended by this, is not your first priority. And I actually have skin in this game, and I really do understand how awkward these conversations can be to navigate. Something that I don't mind talking about is the fact that my dad is an anti-vaxxer. He has quite an alternate view of medicine in general, and it's something that we have clashed about for more than 15 years. It's something that we are constantly butting heads about, and we can usually settle on the fact that we just see it differently and we will approach the situation differently. Vaccination's different because it doesn't just impact you. It's not just the person who's getting vaccinated that is, you know, going to be impacted by the potential outcomes of whether you are vaxxed or not. It's, you know, about creating herd immunity and for people who can't have vaccinations. And so when my brother has 3 children, and this same thing went around to all of our family. You know, his wife sent a text around, my sister-in-law, who I love so much. She sent a text around saying, hey guys, just a reminder, like, you need to get your boosters. If you don't, if you choose not to, and I'm assuming that she knew that this conversation was coming, you won't be able to be around the baby or meet the baby until the baby can have vaccinations of their own, which from memory, I think it was about 6 weeks. I'm sorry if that's not quite right. I think it was around about that spot. And my dad refused to be vaccinated. And
which is fine. Just
totally.
means you don't meet the baby.
Exactly. And that was kind of the compromise that we got to.
It's also hard because what you said is right, is because like at the end of the day, people have choice over what they do to their body. It just means that choice is taken away from when you meet your niece or nephew, which is, it's also that if you're okay with it, that's it. But if your mummy's going to kick off about it, and sorry, not you, Keeshia, I mean like this writer, like if your mum's going to kick off about it because you said she's really reactive, well, then that's on her. As long as you have given it in a nice way, you're not coming to her, you're not attacking her. You're like, hey, these are the rules we're laying out. If not, you can see the baby at 16 weeks. So I just did have a look. It says 8, 12 and 16 weeks when the vaccinations are given.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's fine. It's your life, your baby and your house and your rules. You lay the rules down and then people either abide by them or they don't. And it's unfortunate if they're not going to, but at the end of the day, your baby is your priority.
Yeah, I also think it might be worth you, hopefully, I mean, I don't know how far down a rabbit hole she is, but it might be worth you attempting to find some information about, the effectiveness of the whooping cough vaccine. I know that around the COVID time, that was a particularly hot topic. It basically became someone's personality type, were you pro or against?
Yeah.
And there is a lot of evidence. There's a lot of research. There's millions and millions of sample cases of people who have had this whooping cough vaccine. There wasn't that for the COVID vaccines. We're kind of comparing apples and oranges here. And I know that a lot of people would be like, they're all the same and they're all made the same way. But that's actually not true. They're not all made the same. And they've got different amounts of research about every single different vaccine. So I wonder if she would be open to you presenting a little bit of information about it to her. In my situation, that wasn't up for debate. But that was, it was kind of like a consequence of a decision. And I'm not saying consequence in a negative way. It's just like that was the compromise that my family came to. It was, if you choose to make that decision, then this will be the outcome. And that wasn't to punish him. It was just like a matter of fact that if you don't want to do what we think is best for our child or for the safety of our baby, then you have to kind of take this alternate route.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And you know what? 3 babies later, if I have a kid, it'll probably be the exact same thing.
Me too.
And it's just something that I've had to kind of learn to accept about the fact that we're probably never going to see eye to eye on that. And that's okay. There are going to be some circumstances where it causes a little bit more disruption than others. But at the end of the day, for me, and I'm assuming for you too, your baby's health and the way that you want to protect your baby is the number one priority. Don't worry about what reactions you might have from other people. That's paramount.
Okay, next question. Do I delete pictures of my ex from Instagram before new partners follow me? Should I delete photos with my ex on Instagram before I let the new people I date follow me? I broke up with my ex 3 months ago and I have one in-feed picture of us sitting on a boat. It's not super coupley, but it's coupley enough. You can tell that they're a thing. I love the photo. I am so happy in that photo and nothing bad happened between us. The photo was from late last year. Now, I'm not sure if I need to remove it in case my potential future partners follow me and then become uncomfortable by it. I wouldn't care if they had a photo of their ex on their Instagram, but I'm just not sure what to do. I've asked my friend group. They don't know what to do either.
Do you delete all pictures of an ex?
As somebody who has pictures of her ex on her Instagram, I'm going to say it's okay.
I think I would have pictures of my ex on my Instagram. I think the time period is what matters here. And I wonder if you're able to not delete it but archive it. I feel like that's the happy medium because you can always bring it back.
No, I think it's the same thing. Deleting it is archiving it. It's taking it away. It's taking the moment away. It's fresh for you. It's only 3 months. If you've got a potential new partner now, then that is really close. I'm pretty sure. And I'm not even saying, I remember not deleting it, but I don't remember what's on my Instagram, but I know there would be stuff. But there was a year between me breaking up and having a new anyone. So there was a huge amount of space. And, I post a lot on Instagram. So there was a lot of stuff that had.
Just thirst trap. Well,
no, yeah. There was no depression. I'm back. Thirst trap.
Pretending I'm great.
Got a puppy. No, but I think it depends. And I say that because then if you don't post on Instagram and it's been
3 months ago could have been the most recent post.
Exactly. So for me, I forget they're even there. You would have to scroll back so far to see anything, which I think Ben definitely did. Ben did that. I know that because we had that conversation. But I don't think it's a big deal. I think I did take down some that were like too romantic or coupley. Like I think I took those down, but it was a huge part of my life. You know, somebody I loved and respected and spent time with, and we did a lot of things together. We were traveling the world together and we were having a lot of fun. And for me, it just didn't end badly. So it didn't feel like, I feel like the people that go on and delete their Instagram exes, I feel like that's ended badly for them. Do you know what I mean?
One time, this was one of the most psychotic things I've ever done. It was a really bad breakup. And I didn't delete the photos, but I changed the captions, and it was so passive aggressive. Like, I changed it made me look terrible. It was the worst. I'm not recommending you do this.
No, but doesn't the person get a notification that you've edited it if they're tagged in it? So they're getting notifications that you've edited.
Blocked, so he wouldn't have gotten any notifications at all. But I did get a screenshot of it sent to me through email because he was blocked on everything.
I told you, there's the email, mate. Email. Shit goes down on email.
I can't believe I actually said nothing spicy happens on emails. So, look, I think a very good point that you made about it depends on how many other pictures you have. And I also think it depends on the coupliness of it. But you said it's not too coupley. So on one hand, I think that to other people it can show that you can have good, happy relationships and maybe that those relationships don't end terribly. So that's kind of a pro. But the con would be if some people would see that and think it was possibly too soon and would be like, oh, I don't want to be, I don't want to be the next picture on your Instagram next to a picture of your ex.
We also say that because we had this discussion with a friend recently who Keeshia and I did, who's like dating somebody new, and it wasn't that long ago there were pictures of an ex on, like their ex on there, and it's murky waters sometimes. But where I think this gets a little bit trickier is, do I think you have to delete pictures of your ex? No. I don't. I think that is completely up to you. Do I think it becomes a different story when you get into a new relationship and that person says to you that maybe they're wildly uncomfortable by it for whatever reason? I think that is a more honest conversation. I don't think you can let anyone tell you what to do. Like if Ben had come to me and said, you delete every photo of every other guy on there, I'd be like, get fucked. I make that choice. But if he comes to me and had an open discussion and said, hey, like what, how do you feel if you archive those or get rid of them? They make me feel a bit uncomfortable. That's a different conversation. Like that is a conversation that you have to have with your partner. It's respectful, it's open, it's kind. But do you have to delete it now in the worry that maybe your future partner that doesn't exist yet is going to be uncomfortable with it? No, I think I think you are overthinking it and overstressing it. But if you haven't posted on Instagram, you're not a big poster, and anyone new goes onto your Instagram because that's what they do, right? You meet online. The first thing people want to know is, what's your Instagram? Let's swap. Let me do my stalk. If the first photo or one of the first 3 photos they're seeing is of you on a boat with they don't know it's your ex, right? But it's with a guy. It might send them some kind of message that, oh, maybe she's still seeing someone, or maybe it's complicated, or maybe it's too soon, or you don't know. But again, no one can make you do anything.
Yeah, I think the best option is to archive because you're not deleting the memory. You personally, I know because for a lot of us, we kind of use Instagram as a bit of a visual diary as well. Like sometimes you will scroll back on your own Instagram and be like, oh my gosh, that was such a nice time in my life. So you might not necessarily want to delete that entire memory. And for me, I've got a lot of things archived that I just didn't think were like necessary to be on the grid anymore.
I'd love to go through your archives.
Be like, why did you ever post that to
me? It would be like
with?
Every ex.
You'd get a real timeline, trust me. And so maybe that's like a happy medium. But yeah, I think you've given very good advice on that one, Britt. I've got one final question for you. I found out that my sister cheated on her husband and now I see her differently. I recently found out that my sister cheated on my brother-in-law last year. We're a very close family. It's just the 2 of us siblings, and our kids and partners are really connected. I knew about the man that she had been flirting with, and I often warned her, reminding her of how good her husband is and encouraging her to work on her marriage if things weren't going well. Now that I know that I went through with it, I feel really devastated. Her husband knows, and while deeply hurt, he wants to try and work things out. For me, loyalty, trust, and respect are core values. And I feel like she has not only let her husband down and the kids down, but also me and everyone close to her. She struggles with mental health and she was drinking a lot at the time, but I still feel conflicted. I can't help but see her differently now, and I feel hurt that she could lie about it for so long while looking us in the eye. How can I move forward from this? What can I say to her to express how upset and disappointed I am without damaging our bond forever?
Oh, I don't think we've ever had a cheating question when it's the sisters. Like I don't think we've ever had a sister write in saying that they're really close and it's her sister that did it. I'm trying to think what I would do if it was Sherry, because I'm so close with Sherry. There's nothing that Sherry could do to me that would make our relationship, unless she stole my husband, but like nothing that she would do of her own accord,
But I can imagine you feeling really disappointed in her if she cheated on Jay.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a whole nother conversation because Jay is like family to us. And now I know, poor Sherry, I know that would never happen. I'm sorry for using her as that example. But it's really hard because I don't know what other relationships you've got or, the core of the foundation of your family. You said you guys are close, but I don't know if other stuff has gone down to make you feel uncomfortable, or is this literally the only thing? I would hate to see your relationship with her change forever over this, but I understand why it's changing in the moment. I understand that some really tough conversations have to be had. And I think you can be really honest with her. The question here isn't, do I tell him? He already knows. So it's all out in the open. You're just wanting to know how you move forward with your sister. So I think you need to be really honest with how you feel about it and maybe try to get an understanding on where she is now. Does she look at it like it's a mistake? Is she really sorry for it? Does she think, what was I thinking? Like I was at a low point. I would never do that again.
Is she still drinking like she was?
I think there's so much to it. But it is a really tricky thing because when you are really close to your family and your family's partners, they are your family and you love and care about them, and it's a tricky situation for you to be in. But if you can work through it, like you do only get one family, and I know I know it's not everything and you can't choose your family, but family is so important if you can work through something. So if this is the only thing she has done, I'm not saying it's okay, but I would hate for you to damage that bond forever, which was your words, how do I not damage this forever?
Yeah, I also think there's one other sentence that you've written that kind of stood out to me, and I agree with everything you've said, Britt, but she's also betrayed you too. You've said, I feel hurt that she could lie about it for so long while looking us in the eye. And I think that maybe that's the conversation you need to have with her. As far as the cheating goes, the husband has accepted it and, chosen to move forward, and that's kind of no longer your business. Like what happens between them as a couple, that's for them to kind of work through. And yes, you might be a support character, but she has seemingly also lied to you. And so I do think that you have every right to bring that up with her and let her know that you're really disappointed in not only her behavior because it goes against the values that you guys, were brought up with, but also that she either lied to you or involved you in the lie. I'm not really sure to what extent these lies kind of contained you. So for me, that would be the conversation. But I also think that often in these situations, things are very rarely black and white. And we have been criticized for saying this before, but no cheating is the same. The reasons for it, the validation that people are seeking, whether their needs are being met, whether they're not, whether they are just out of an impulse and they're not thinking clearly, I'm not excusing it.
I just don't think it's a blanket statement. It's not, all cheating is not created equal.
Exactly. And for that reason, I think it can be really hard to not explore nuances like that with people that you really, really love, like your sister. I would be really devastated if this completely ruined your sisterly bond because she'd made this mistake, she'd stuffed up. From all accounts, it sounds as though she's told the husband. I don't know how the husband found out. I do think that that's a good thing if that she has kind of admitted fault. You haven't really given us many details about how she has kind of responded to this, whether she has, told you guys the truth and admitted it to her husband and she's apologized and she said that she's going to cut back on the drinking and she said that she's going to do everything to fix this. We don't know whether that's the case. If she's cheated on him and it was kind of premeditated, you said that you knew about the man that she'd been flirting with, which would kind of imply that there was a little bit of a ramp up to this. It wasn't just I was out one night, I was off my head drunk and, I did this stupid thing. I wasn't thinking clearly. It sounds as though she's maybe had a little bit of like a flirtatious back and forth and this has been ramped up and it's kind of reached a crescendo and it's ended up with her doing something that, wasn't to the values of her marriage. Yeah, I think that we can impose our values on other people And I just don't know whether that's going to be worth losing your sisterly bond over. I can understand why you're disappointed. I can understand why you feel betrayed if she's lied to you. But for me, it would be a forgivable thing, particularly if their partner was able to forgive them for it.
I was just about to say, if he has forgiven her, I think you need to try to as well. Because I don't want to say you're the byproduct. Oh, I think what term did you just use, Keeshia? What'd you call it? The side piece. Like, she's not the main person affected in the situation.
Yeah.
The betrayal is there. I get that. She lied to you, but that's what people that know they're doing the wrong thing do. They know that what they're doing is right. They know you're going to judge their actions, so they don't bring you in on it, because when they do, this is what happens. So I have no doubt she knew she was doing the wrong thing, which is why she kept it from you. So yes, you need to work on that relationship if you can. And if for some reason you have tried to put it all on the line and you can't move forward and the trust is there, then that's something else for you to deal with. Maybe you don't see her as much, or you're not as close to her, or you don't trust her as much. But I just wouldn't sever the relationship for the rest of your life. That is like a huge call.
Yeah, maybe you just pull back for a little bit.
Yeah.
For a couple of months, let the dust settle, let them kind of work through things in their marriage themselves, and then you can hopefully get back to a place that you were before. But that is it for our questions today. If you have any questions, you can send them in to us on Instagram at Life Uncut Podcast. You can also email them to us. The email is hello@lifeuncutpodcast.com. And also on Wednesday, we're going to have Laura's birth episode about her third baby, hopefully. I mean, all things, fingers crossed everywhere.
It's not about me, but did I or did I not cut the cord? We will find we'll find out.
The question on everybody's lips.
No, it's going to be a really good episode. I'm looking forward to it. If you want to watch this on YouTube, please go and subscribe. All the questions are there. It's definitely a different experience when you're watching it versus just listening to it. And you know the drill. Tell your mum, tell your dad, tell your dog, tell your friends, and share the love, because
we love love.